Did you know that grocery prices are expected to jump by nearly 15% this May? That's right. Your weekly shopping trip is about to get a whole lot more expensive. But don't panic. I've done the research so you don't have to. Listen, we're not talking about the obvious stuff like toilet paper or bottled water here. These are 10 surprising items that most people completely overlook until they're paying double at checkout. The smart shoppers are already quietly filling their pantries with these essentials. And trust me, you'll kick yourself next month if you don't join them. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss money-saving tips like these. I post new videos every week to help you stay ahead of rising costs and shopping trends. Now let's get into these 10 surprising grocery items you absolutely need to stockpile before May hits. Number 7, shocked. Even me. Number 1, canned tomatoes. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you stocked up on canned tomatoes? You probably haven't thought twice about them, right? They're always just there, a pantry staple that quietly waits to be added to chili, pasta sauce, soup, or a hearty stew. But what if I told you that by the time May 2025 rolls around, that innocent-looking can might become one of the hardest, and most expensive, items to get your hands on? Here's the truth. The canned tomato supply is entering shaky territory. California, which produces over 95% of the processing tomatoes in the United States, has taken a real hit. Record-breaking summer heat and worsening drought conditions have slashed tomato yields. Again, farmers are planting less because water restrictions make it increasingly expensive just to keep crops alive. Add to that the rising costs of labor, fertilizer, and transportation, and suddenly the price of that $1 can is climbing faster than you might expect. But it's not just the tomatoes themselves. Here's the kicker. Even the cans are now a problem. The U.S. recently imposed tariffs on imported tin mill steel, which is the exact type of metal used to produce canned goods. Companies like Conagra, which owns major grocery brands like Hunt's, have already issued warnings. These tariffs could force another round of price hikes, and that's before any shortages even hit the shelves. You're literally paying more for the container and the food inside it. And the pressure's not just domestic. Globally, demand for shelf-stable foods like canned tomatoes is surging. We're talking about a market that's projected to reach $17 billion by 2030. As more people embrace prepping or just look to stretch their grocery dollars by cooking at home, canned tomatoes are flying off the shelves, not just in the US, but worldwide. Now here's why this matters to you. Canned tomatoes aren't just convenient. They're crazy versatile. You can turn them into marinara, enchilada sauce, soup base, chili, curry, you name it. And with a shelf life of 2 years or more, they're a no-brainer for long-term storage. But because they're so common, people assume they'll always be there. That's the mistake. If you wait until there's a visible shortage, you're going to be paying 2-3 times the price. Or worse, staring at an empty shelf. This is exactly the kind of quiet essential that vanishes when panic buying kicks in, but no one sees it coming. So here's the move. Go grab a couple flats of canned tomatoes now. The diced ones, crushed, paste, whole peeled, whatever your family actually eats. Future you is going to thank you when you're able to make dinner without rationing tomato sauce like it's a luxury. Because when the pasta's boiling and the recipe calls for a can of tomatoes, the last thing you want is to be out and out of luck. Number 2, frozen berries. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Right now, we're in this perfect storm for frozen berries. Winter storage facilities are emptying out just as demand is skyrocketing for spring smoothies and desserts. I was shocked when I saw the latest USDA report from March 2025. Blueberry reserves are down 37% compared to last year. And it's not just blueberries. Strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are all facing similar shortages. Here's what happened. Remember those weird weather patterns back in September? The unseasonable frost in the Pacific Northwest damaged nearly half the late-season berry crops. Farmers couldn't recover, and now we're feeling it. My neighbor Jenny paid $8.99 for a small bag of mixed berries last week. the same bag that was $4.99 just months ago, and experts are predicting prices could double again by June. Some grocery chains have already started limiting purchases to 2 bags per customer. I talked with a produce manager who told me off the record that they're struggling to keep berries in stock even at these higher prices. But here's why you should care beyond just the cost. Berries are nutritional powerhouses. A recent Harvard study found that people who eat berries 3 times weekly had 32% better immune function during seasonal transitions. With cold and flu seasons stretching longer each year, your body needs these antioxidants. The anthocyanins in berries, that's what gives them their bright colors, have been linked to improved brain function and reduced inflammation. 1 cup of mixed berries has more antioxidants than a vitamin supplement that costs 3 times as much. The best part? Frozen berries actually retain more nutrients than fresh ones that sit in your fridge for days. They're flash frozen at peak ripeness, locking in all those vitamins. A 2024 food science study from Cornell University found frozen berries maintained 92% of their nutritional value after 3 months in proper freezer storage. Compare that to fresh berries that lose up to 30% of their nutrients after just 3 days in your refrigerator. And they're so versatile. I use them for smoothies, baking, homemade jam, and even natural food coloring. Last month, I made popsicles for my kids using just frozen berries and yogurt. Way healthier than store-bought, and they absolutely loved them. I've even started adding thawed berries to my overnight oats and using them to make quick berry compotes for pancakes. One of my followers shared that she uses frozen berries to make natural cough syrup by simmering them with honey and lemon, so much better than those artificial syrups from the pharmacy. Let me share a money-saving hack I discovered. Check smaller grocery stores and ethnic markets. While major chains are charging premium prices, I found 3 bags at my local international market for almost half the price last week. Another tip: look for store brands rather than name brands. The berries come from the same farms but can cost 20 to 30% less. Smart shoppers are buying 3, 4 bags now and storing them in the back of their freezer where they'll stay good for up to 8 months. Trust me, when everyone else is paying premium prices in May, you'll be glad you listened. And if you have the freezer space, consider going bigger. Berry prices typically don't drop again until mid-summer when the next harvest comes in. By that time, you'll have saved enough money to treat yourself to something nice with all your grocery savings. Number 3, pasta and rice. Let me tell you something that shocked me last week. I was chatting with my cousin who works for a major food distributor, and she told me wheat prices have already jumped 8% since January. But that's nothing compared to what's coming in May. According to the latest USDA report, we're facing a perfect storm for grain prices. Drought conditions in major wheat-producing regions combined with increased shipping costs have created what analysts are calling a supply pinch point that'll hit consumers hardest in late spring. The Agricultural Market Information System is predicting wheat prices could surge another 12 to 15% by early May, which means pasta prices will follow right behind. I've already noticed boxes of name-brand pasta creeping up from $1.29 to $1.79 at my local store. That's nearly a 40% increase. Rice isn't looking any better. 3 of the top 5 global rice exporters have announced potential export restrictions starting in May due to climate-related harvest concerns. India, which supplies nearly 40% of global rice exports, has been experiencing unusual rainfall patterns that damage crops in key growing regions. Thailand and Vietnam are facing similar challenges. This isn't making headlines yet, but food industry insiders are already stocking up. Here's the thing: pasta and rice aren't just cheap staples. They're survival foods that literally last for years when stored properly. A 5-pound bag of rice can feed a family for weeks in a pinch, and it costs less than a single takeout meal right now. Did you know properly stored white rice can last up to 30 years? That's not an exaggeration. Brown rice has more oils, so it doesn't last as long. But we're still talking 6, 8 months. Pasta is similarly durable, staying good for 2 years past its printed date when sealed correctly. My neighbor Martha bought 20 pounds of pasta last weekend for just $22 during a sale. That's less than what you'd pay for 2 boxes next month if these projections hold true. She grabbed different shapes, spaghetti, penne, and those fun bow ties that kids love, because variety matters when you're eating from your pantry. The smart move? Buy in bulk now and store in airtight containers. I personally use those clear plastic bins with snap lock lids, keeps everything fresh, and you can see exactly what you have. A little food-grade silica gel packet thrown in helps prevent moisture too. I save these from other products just for this purpose. And don't just think about plain pasta and rice. Grab some flavor packets, bouillon cubes, or dried herbs while they're available. A simple rice dish becomes restaurant-worthy with the right seasonings. Last month, I made an amazing pasta sauce from canned tomatoes and dried herbs that my family swore tasted better than takeout. When prices spike, having these flavor enhancers on hand means you won't get bored with your stockpile meals. Trust me on this one. When everyone else is paying premium prices for these kitchen essentials in May, you'll be cooking from your own personal stockpile. Your wallet will thank you, and you'll have the peace of mind knowing you've got the backbone of countless meals ready to go. Just remember, store in cool, dry places, keep pests out with proper containers, and rotate your stock by using the oldest items first. That's how the pros do it. Number 4. Coffee. Your morning comfort might be the next luxury. You might not think twice when you scoop those coffee grounds into your morning brew. But what if I told you that comforting routine could soon come with sticker shock? Yep, coffee, that one thing you swore you'd never give up, is about to become a lot harder to afford. And maybe even to find. Let's break it down. As of April 2025, the world's two biggest coffee producers, Brazil and Vietnam, are in real trouble. Brazil's been getting hammered by its worst drought in almost 30 years. Coffee plants are stunted, beans are maturing too fast, and the harvest down by as much as 20%. On the other side of the globe, Vietnam, a powerhouse for Robusta beans, the kind used in instant coffee, is facing unrelenting heat waves and dry conditions. Together, these two countries supply nearly 2/3 of the global coffee supply. So when both take a hit at once, yeah, the math gets scary fast. And here's where it gets worse. Big coffee buyers and distributors are already panic buying to secure limited future stock. That's driving prices even higher. And those price hikes are trickling down to grocery shelves faster than usual. According to a Reuters report from April, wholesale prices have already jumped nearly 30% since the start of the year. That's before we even hit peak consumption season. Now, most people think, I'll just drink tea instead. But here's the thing. If you're prepping for long-term emergencies, coffee isn't just a luxury. It's a morale booster, a barter item, and a small sense of normalcy when everything else feels chaotic. Imagine running a generator with limited fuel, cooking freeze-dried meals on a propane burner, and not having your morning cup. For a lot of people, that's when things really start to unravel. So, what should you do? First, grab instant coffee while it's still reasonably priced. It stores well, is lightweight, and requires no equipment to brew. If you're a coffee purist, go for vacuum-sealed ground coffee and store it in a cool, dark place, ideally with oxygen absorbers in Mylar bags or glass jars. Want to get fancy? Freeze-dried coffee actually has one of the longest shelf lives, up to 20 years if properly stored. Also, think about portion sizes. Those big economy tubs might sound smart, but once opened, they lose freshness fast. Smaller bricks or single-serve packets hold up better over time, and they're easier to trade or ration if things get tight. Bottom line, don't wait until you're staring at empty shelves or $15 price tags. Coffee is climbing the list of high-risk groceries for 2025, and smart preppers will treat it not as a treat, but as a strategic essential. Number 5. Nuts and seeds. Let me tell you what happened to my friend Sarah last June. She went to grab her usual bag of almonds and nearly dropped her phone when she saw the price. $14.99. That's almost double what she paid just 2 months earlier. Here's the shocking truth. Most people don't know. We're facing a perfect storm for nut and seed prices this spring. According to the latest agricultural market report, 3 major almond-producing regions in California experienced unexpected frost damage in March, with crop yields expected to drop by 22% compared to last year. But it's not just almonds. Sunflower seed production is down 17% due to severe drought conditions in key growing regions. And with global shipping disruptions still affecting imports from Australia and Turkey, we're looking at a serious supply crunch right when demand typically spikes. Why does demand spike in May? Two reasons. First, as summer approaches, more people start health kicks and grab nuts and seeds as protein-rich snacks. Second, food manufacturers stock up to produce nut butters, granolas, and energy bars for the summer market. Here's the game changer though. Nuts and seeds aren't just good for your pantry, they're incredible for your health. A recent study in the Journal of Nutrition found that people who eat just a quarter cup of mixed nuts daily reduced their inflammatory markers by 19% and showed improved heart health metrics. And let's talk versatility. These aren't one-trick items taking up valuable space. You can toss them in salads, blend them into smoothies, make your own nut butters, or just grab a handful when you need quick energy. When meat prices inevitably climb this summer, projected to rise 9 to 12% according to industry forecasts, you'll have protein alternatives ready to go. What should you grab specifically? Focus on walnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, and flax seeds. These have the best combination of nutrition, shelf life, and versatility. Store them in airtight containers in a cool, dark place, or even freeze them to extend freshness for up to a year. Don't wait until everyone else realizes what's happening. The smart move is stocking up now while prices are still reasonable and supplies are still on shelves. Number 6. Honey. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Honey prices are set to skyrocket next month. Beekeepers in major honey-producing regions are reporting a 30% decline in production since January. Here's the scary part. According to the latest research from the Agricultural Research Service, colony collapse disorder hit record levels this winter. We're talking about millions of bees simply vanishing overnight. And fewer bees means way less honey on store shelves. But honey isn't just for sweetening your tea. This liquid gold is one of the only foods that literally never spoils. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that's still perfectly edible. That's because honey's natural antibacterial properties make it impossible for bacteria to grow in it. Smart preppers are using honey for everything right now. Got a minor burn or cut? Honey works as a natural antibacterial ointment, fighting a sore throat. A spoonful of raw honey is more effective than over-the-counter cough syrup, according to a recent Penn State study. I've started keeping at least 3 varieties in my pantry. Clover honey for everyday use, raw wildflower honey for health benefits, and manuka honey for medicinal purposes. Trust me, when prices jump next month, you'll thank me for this tip. And here's something most people don't know. Honey actually improves with age, developing more complex flavors. So stock up now, while prices are still reasonable, and you'll have better tasting honey 6 months from now. Number 7. Frozen vegetables. Let me tell you what happened to Sarah last May. She went to grab her usual bag of frozen broccoli, $2.79 the week before. Price tag, $4.50. She literally put it back on the shelf. Here's the reality most people don't realize. We're entering what industry insiders call the hunger gap. That awkward period between winter and spring harvest when fresh produce gets scarce and pricey. According to recent USDA data, frozen vegetable prices typically surge 20 to 35% during this exact window. But here's the shocking part. A 2024 study in the Journal of Food Science found that frozen vegetables often contain more nutrients than their fresh counterparts that sat in trucks and store displays for days. Those flash freezing techniques lock in vitamins that would otherwise deteriorate. And don't just take my word for it. The American Frozen Food Institute recently reported that 78% of nutritionists recommend keeping frozen vegetables on hand specifically for nutritional consistency year-round. Listen, I'm not saying buy out the entire freezer section, but grabbing an extra bag or two of frozen peas, corn, broccoli, and mixed vegetables now will save you serious cash next month. Plus, on those nights when you're exhausted and tempted to order takeout, Having these ready-to-go veggies makes throwing together a healthy meal ridiculously simple. One more thing, those resealable bags they come in now? Perfect for portion control. No more sad, freezer-burned leftovers. Number 8. Butter. Let me tell you about butter. Something crazy is happening in the dairy world right now. Farmers across the country are reporting a perfect storm of problems. Feed costs have jumped 23% since January, and that extreme weather we saw last month, it destroyed grazing lands in 3 major dairy-producing states. I spoke with my friend who works at a local creamery last week. She told me they're already planning to raise prices by mid-May. We're talking $2.23 more per pound. And she's not the only one. Industry reports show that butter prices could hit a 5-year high by summer. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Butter freezes beautifully. I've kept butter in my freezer for up to 9 months with zero change in taste. Just wrap it tightly in foil, then pop it in a freezer bag to prevent freezer burn. You can even freeze butter in smaller portions for easier use. And let's be real. What can't you use butter for? From morning toast to baking cookies to making that perfect garlic sauce for pasta night. Life without affordable butter would be, well, a lot less delicious. One more shocking fact. Specialty butters like European style and grass-fed varieties are predicted to see even steeper price hikes, possibly up to 40% according to the latest dairy market report from Agritech Monthly. Trust me on this one. Grab an extra 5-6 pounds now while prices are still reasonable. Your future self and your taste buds will thank you. Number 9. Flour. Let's talk about one pantry item that most people completely overlook. Flour. It's one of those things you probably assume will always be on the shelf, right? But here's the twist. Flour might just be one of the smartest items you can stockpile before May 2025, and here's why. First off, the prices. They're rising, slowly, yes, but steadily, and that's what makes it so dangerous, because it's not a sudden spike that grabs headlines. It's this creeping increase that you barely notice until your grocery bill is $40 higher and you're wondering what happened. In March 2025, the average cost of all-purpose flour in the U.S. ticked up again to 56.5 cents a pound, part of a months-long trend tied to weather-related wheat shortages, fertilizer costs, and global exports tightening up. What's scarier? Wheat futures are up this spring, which is a strong signal that flour prices could jump again just as we hit summer baking season. And here's what a lot of people forget. Spring and summer aren't just BBQ and burger months. Late spring kicks off the seasonal baking wave, especially with holidays like Mother's Day, Memorial Day, and early graduation parties. Demand for flour shoots up, bakeries and at-home bakers alike are stocking up, and the shelves get thinner than you'd expect. If you're not ahead of that curve, you're either paying a premium or you're out of luck. But what really makes flour a prepping power move is its versatility. We're not just talking cookies and cakes. Flour thickens your soups, bulks up sauces, turns leftover scraps into fried snacks, and forms the base of emergency staples like tortillas or bannock. Stuff you can cook with no electricity if you have to. When the world gets unpredictable, the more flexible your ingredients are, the better. Now, let's talk storage because, yes, flour can go bad. If you just keep it in that paper bag it came in, you've maybe got 6 months before it starts to spoil, especially if it's hot or humid where you live. But if you move it into an airtight container, or better yet, vacuum seal it and pop it in the freezer, you're looking at 2 years of shelf life. That's 2 years of pancake mornings, roux-thickened stews, and peace of mind. And if you want to take it even further, consider storing whole wheat flour or even grain you can mill yourself. Why? Because whole grains last even longer, and you can control the grind, the freshness, and the nutrition. More preppers are starting to do this because it gives you a longer buffer and fewer things to rely on others for. So yes, flour. Not glamorous, not headline grabbing. But if May hits and prices jump, or your local stores start running low like they did in 2020, you'll be glad you didn't wait. Stock it smart, store it safe, and give your future self the gift of options. Number 10. Seasonal spices. I never thought I'd be telling you this, but there's about to be a serious spice shortage hitting us this May. According to the International Spice Trade Association's latest report from March, extreme weather in key growing regions has devastated this year's cinnamon, cumin, and cardamom crops. We're talking about monsoon flooding in India that's wiped out 40% of the cardamom fields and unprecedented drought in Indonesia affecting cinnamon bark harvests. This isn't just some minor supply hiccup, it's a perfect storm that's about to hit your kitchen. Picture this. You're making your favorite comfort meal with that stockpiled rice and beans, but it tastes like absolutely nothing. Bland food is depressing food, folks. And during stressful times, comfort food becomes even more important for your mental health. I learned this the hard way during last year's price spike when I paid nearly triple for my favorite curry powder blend. Here's the shocking part. Cinnamon prices have already jumped 32% in the past month alone. That's not just inflation, that's a supply crisis brewing. Market analysts at Food Trend Global are predicting some spices could see 50 to 70% price increases by June if current conditions persist. I was literally at the grocery store yesterday, and the manager was already putting purchase limits on certain spice brands. That's how real this is getting. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people don't realize that properly stored spices can last 2-3 years. All you need is airtight containers kept in a cool, dark place, not next to your stove where most people keep them. Those magnetic spice racks on refrigerators? Also terrible. The heat from your appliance degrades the oils that give spices their flavor and health benefits. I spoke with Chef Martinez last week, who told me restaurants are already quietly doubling their spice orders. It's not just about cost, he said. It's about availability. Some specialty spices might simply disappear from shelves entirely. He mentioned that his supplier has already put saffron on allocation, meaning restaurants can only buy limited quantities regardless of what they're willing to pay. Focus on stocking up on these 5 essential spices: cinnamon, cumin, paprika, turmeric, and oregano. These will transform all those other stockpile foods from boring to gourmet instantly. Plus, many of these spices have legitimate health benefits. Turmeric for inflammation, cinnamon for blood sugar control, oregano for its antibacterial properties. You're not just flavoring your food, you're supporting your immune system during seasonal changes. And here's a tip the spice companies don't want you to know. Buy whole spices when possible. They last significantly longer than pre-ground versions. A small coffee grinder is all you need to grind them fresh when cooking. Whole peppercorns, cinnamon sticks, and cumin seeds might seem more expensive up front, but they'll maintain their potency 3 times longer than pre-ground options. I've been using the same jar of whole cloves for nearly 2 years, and they still smell incredible every time I open the jar. Don't wait until your grocery store's spice rack looks like a ghost town. I've created a free downloadable spice storage guide in the description below. It shows you exactly how to extend the life of your spice collection. Trust me, when everyone else is eating boring emergency food in a few months, you'll be the one still enjoying delicious meals that actually make you happy. Your taste buds and your mental health will thank you later. So there you have it. 10 surprising grocery items you'll seriously regret not stockpiling before May hits. I don't know about you, but I'm heading to the store today before everyone else catches on. Remember, this isn't about panic buying or hoarding. It's about being smart with your money and planning ahead. Please consider picking up a few additional items during each shopping trip over the next couple of weeks, and you'll be well prepared. Let's quickly recap what to focus on. Canned tomatoes, frozen berries, pasta and rice, coffee, nuts and seeds, honey, frozen vegetables, butter, flour, and those essential spices. Most of these items have long shelf lives when stored properly, so you're not wasting money, you're saving it. I'd love to know which item surprised you the most, or if there's something you think I missed. Drop a comment below, and let's help each other prepare. If this video saved you some future grocery stress, smash that like button and subscribe for more practical tips. I'm posting a follow-up video next week on the best storage methods for each of these items, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. Stay prepared, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next video.